Richard Holloway, UKIP candidate for the Mark Hall ward. This is your first time standing. So why have you decided to want to stand as a councillor?
To be fair, Michael, I've born and raised in Harlow, lived in Harlow all my life, and got to the point where I've seen this town change, not for the better. You see the town centre, it's getting dilapidated, it's an eyesore. We did post something on our UKIP Facebook page about that with some various photos. I find it quite sad. One of the things for me personally is the community side of things, and when I was a kid we had a really good community in Harlow, the Harlow Town shows and things like that, and I think a lot of that has gone, even to things like the Harlow Market. And then last year what prompted me to take that step was actually the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and in my local pub, the Purple Emperor, we had all walks of life in there, a wide range of different colours, creeds and religions, all doing one thing, right? All cheering for England and having a really good time. And that really brought back to me the importance of that community aspect, and that for me is one of the reasons why I wanted to go forward.
And why UKIP?
To be honest with you, I'm ex-forces, so Labour unfortunately doesn't really bode too well for myself when their leader can't even bother to go to the Armed Forces Day 2 years on the trot, rather go to Glastonbury. So that doesn't sort of sit too well with me. And as for the Conservatives, well, kind of what they're doing with the country right now, again, doesn't sort of sit too well with me. And I am a Brexiteer. So yeah, it seemed the next obvious option.
So, and what have you been going door to door? What have people been saying to you?
I've had some good feedback. Really quite nice, guys. I've been walking around the ward, talking to various different people, chatting to people, and one of the issues that people are happy with, including the people in town here, is how they're being treated by the council, for instance, and things not being done. Bins is obviously a big thing, the bin collections at the moment, that is a massive issue for a lot of people. It was actually affecting myself as well, so that's quite an important one. The businesses in I was last weekend, the store, Fashion Avenue, etc., and they're all losing revenue due to the roadworks up there, which originally should have been 2 weeks, went to 6, then it's now I believe at 10 or 11 weeks, and they've been told another 8 to 10 weeks.
And the roadworks though are Essex County Council, and you mentioned the town centre, there are plans, but do you feel Harlow Council and the Labour and Harlow Council are just a bit dragging their feet on a number of issues?
Well, the shopkeepers, just for example, they've asked the Labour Council, could they have a rent reduction, things like that, can they be helped? The lady up at the pet store, she's lost nearly 50% of her business. All she's asking for is some help and not being listened to. I get the fact that the roads are obviously the Essex, as you said, County Council. However, they're not being helped, and that's the thing. I don't think there's a lot to ask. Other issues as well that we've seen in the town, potholes and things like that. People are asking for these things to be done, and they're not being carried out.
Would you, on Facebook, I know it's not the whole world on Facebook, but
yeah.
your Facebook site is very much anti-Labour, isn't it? If you go to the UKIP manifesto,
yeah.
You can see that there are, nationally policies on, education, NHS, a lot of crime, a lot of issues. But on Facebook, it just seems to be a vicious anti-Labour attack. Why is that? Why have you decided to go for that?
I think it's a two-way street. When you look at these things, for me personally, when we've been campaigning, the only time we get spat at, sworn at, attacked, and it's usually by the Labour supporters. So we find that quite, rather aggressive. So yeah, we are going to push back a little bit, and it's not so much anti-Labour, we're anti the Conservatives, and there are posts on that as well. We're all, as I say, UKIP started from initially Brexit, and a lot of people don't like that. Obviously that's quite a big split in the country. However, in this town, as you're well aware, it's 68.1% of this town did vote to leave. So I think, from the point of view, as you say, of anti-Labour, well, at the moment they're responsible for the town and the way it is. So I think they've got to take some responsibility for that.
You've got somebody else who's standing. Young Ted, hasn't covered himself in glory, has he? Maybe made a bit of a naive mistake there, not so sure, but I'm sure you can chat with Ted about that and discuss that further with him individually. But would you agree that rape jokes aren't funny?
I'd certainly agree that rape jokes aren't funny. I don't think it was a rape joke in the sense that it was a silly post that he put on there. Yeah, no, I agree. You know, people are going to see that in different ways. It was a satire. You know, it's something that's from 3 years ago, I believe. Like I say, I think Ted was a little bit foolish with that, but you know, so you can discuss that with him.
I know a lot of people who, you know, because I run your Thurrock, and at one stage there were 17 UKIP councillors, and a lot of them felt, a lot of them left now, they have the Thurrock independence, and they left, they felt uncomfortable with the shift to the right. So would you, I know we're here to talk about the Mark Hall Ward,
that's fair enough.
You seem a man comfortable to talk about a lot of issues. Would you share a platform with people like Tommy Robinson and Carl Benjamin?
To be honest with you, the Carl Benjamin thing, I don't, you know, I've seen, it was an article that I was watching earlier this week with him. I think he explained himself quite well. Again, people are going to have their different opinions on that. Hence the reason why we have different parties. People have different opinions and different views, and you know, let's be fair, they're entitled to that. And I'd always fight for the fact that everyone's entitled to that freedom. As for Tommy Robinson, there are certain things I agree with, certain things I don't, to be fair, so I think that's quite a balanced view of the man.
That's fair. So if firstly, I should ask you, what would you gauge as success come May next Thursday, Friday morning?
Well, I'd like to see obviously quite a few of our UKIP candidates being successful, and so hopefully change. Then we can look forward to, you know, promoting and changing this town for what we believe would be for better. You know, certain things that would stop our town being such an eyesore. I'd like to see our town centre being certainly a lot more welcome than it is to outsiders. You know, visitors to the town. It's quite embarrassing, really. You know, it's quite a sad place to walk around at the moment.
And if you didn't win, would you stand again?
Yeah, I think I probably would. See how it goes.
Yeah, you enjoyed it.
I have indeed, to be fair, Michael. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good challenge. You know, I found it a lot of energy put into it as well. And I think it's like most things in life, you'll only get out of something what you put into it. But I don't, you know, if we're not successful on Thursday, well, sometimes you have to retreat, regroup, and revisit things.